High in the desolate peaks of the Carpathian Mountains stands St. Wilhelm's Monastery, a forbidding fortress of weathered stone. It has borne witness to centuries of history. Locals speak of a chilling legend whispered around flickering candlelight. They say the statue of Brother Lazarus moves at midnight. When the clock strikes 12, the statue stirs, its eyes following those near. St. Wilhelm's Monastery, founded in the 12th century, stands as a beacon of faith. Its walls have sheltered generations of monks dedicated to prayer and solitude. But the monastery also bears the scars of a violent past. In 1347, the Black Death reached the remote monastery. The monks, cut off from the world, were ravaged by the disease. As the Black Death ravaged, Brother Lazarus, a young and ambitious monk, grew increasingly disillusioned. He questioned the silence of God, the seeming indifference of heaven to the suffering that surrounded him. His faith, once unshakable, crumbled like the bodies of his brethren. On the night of the blood moon, driven to the brink of madness by fear and despair, Brother Lazarus is said to have ventured into the forbidden depths of the monastery. Some whisper that he sought a cure for the plague. Others that he sought to bargain with the devil himself. Whatever his intentions, Brother Lazarus's actions that night sealed his fate and cast a long shadow over the monastery. He was discovered the next morning, raving and incoherent, clutching a strange artifact. The monks, horrified by his transgression, declared him a heretic and a madman. They condemned him to a fate worse than death, sealing him within the monastery walls alive. For centuries, the legend of Brother Lazarus and the moving statue has persisted. Some dismiss it as mere superstition, but others speak of strange occurrences and a palpable sense of dread. Even the bravest souls hesitate to approach the statue at night. Its eyes seem to follow your every move. Scholars and skeptics have tried to debunk the legend, but each investigation yields more questions than answers. In 1702, a young scholar named Father Lucian, renowned for his rational mind and his disdain for superstition, arrived at St. Wilhelm's Monastery. Armed with his quill and parchment, he intended to document the history of the monastery and, in doing so, expose the legend of the moving statue for the fabrication it truly was. Father Lucian spent weeks poring over ancient texts, meticulously recording the history of the monastery. He interviewed the monks, listening patiently to their tales and dismissing them as the ramblings of superstitious minds. He even spent several nights in the courtyard, observing the statue of Brother Lazarus, confident that he would find a logical explanation for the stories that had haunted the monastery for centuries. But as the days turned into weeks, Father Lucian's certainty began to waver. He too experienced the strange occurrences that had plagued so many others. In the year 2023, a team of researchers led by renowned paranormal investigator Dr. Emily Carter, arrived at the foot of the Carpathian Mountains. Their destination, St. Wilhelm's Monastery. Armed with state-of-the-art equipment and years of experience in the field, they aimed to unravel the mystery of the moving statue and separate fact from fiction. The team, a mix of scientists, historians, and paranormal investigators, approached the legend with a healthy dose of skepticism. They set up cameras, motion sensors, and audio recorders throughout the monastery, determined to capture any unusual activity. They meticulously documented the layout of the monastery, paying particular attention to the courtyard where the statue of Brother Lazarus stood guard. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the ancient stone, the team gathered in the courtyard, their eyes drawn to the imposing figure of Brother Lazarus. The air grew noticeably colder, and an unsettling silence descended upon the monastery. As the hours ticked by, the team worked tirelessly, their eyes glued to the monitors, their ears straining for any sound that could indicate something out of the ordinary. The silence, broken only by the occasional creak of the ancient building, was unnerving. Then, just after midnight, the sensor sprang to life. A sudden temperature drop registered on the thermometers, and the EMF detectors spiked erratically. The audio recorders picked up a low, guttural growl, seemingly emanating from the statue itself. On the monitors, the team watched in disbelief as the statue of Brother Lazarus appeared to shift, its stone arm moving ever so slightly. A wave of fear washed over the team, but Dr. Carter, her voice steady despite her racing heart, urged them to remain calm. They reviewed the footage, their eyes scanning the screens, searching for a rational explanation for what they had just witnessed. The next morning, the team awoke to find that two of their members, historian Professor David Cohen and tech specialist Sarah Williams, were missing. A frantic search of the monastery and the surrounding woods proved futile. They had vanished without a trace. The remaining team members were in shock. The atmosphere, already heavy with apprehension, grew thick with fear and suspicion. Had Professor Cohen and Sarah simply gotten lost in the night, or had something more sinister befallen them? Dr. Carter, her face pale with worry, refused to believe that her colleagues were gone for good. She reviewed the footage from the previous night, her eyes searching for any clue to their whereabouts. And then she saw it. In the background of the footage, just as the statue moved, she could have sworn she saw a figure lurking in the shadows, its eyes glowing with an eerie light. The disappearance of Professor Cohen and Sarah remains a mystery to this day. Some whisper that they stumbled upon a secret passage within the monastery, a hidden chamber where Brother Lazarus's true power lay dormant. Others believe that they were taken, claimed by the same malevolent force that animated the statue at the stroke of midnight. Dr. Carter and her remaining team were forced to abandon their research. The mystery of the moving statue and the missing researchers unsolved. St. Wilhelm's Monastery stands as it has for centuries, a silent sentinel in the desolate mountains, its secrets locked away behind its cold, impassive walls.